Say live and let die. Live and let die.
Cheers.
Roger Moore.
We just watched Live and Let Die. I think Moore's first Bond is a really fun movie.
It's an odd movie, very silly movie.
Butterhook.
And I think one of Moore's best movies.
I think so. I think this is probably his second best Bond movie.
In the last 3 Bond films, we've had 3 different Bonds and we've had 3 very different tones. And this is the first B-movie Bond. This is a blaxploitation rip-off.
Is this the stupid mother that tailed you uptown?
There seems to be some mistake. My name is...
Ames is for tombstones, baby. Y'all take this honky out and waste him, now!
This was always one of my favourites as a kid, this. And I still like to watch it as an adult, and I do think it really is a lot of fun. And fun is the best word to use, I think.
Diamonds Are Forever was the first film that attempted this tone, and it fell flat on its arse. And they pull it off with this one. Even though what's fascinating, it's the same director, it's Guy Hamilton. I'm not quite sure why they pull it off this time.
Maybe more is a big part of that.
Well, it's just a hat, darling. Belonging to a small-headed man of limited means who lost a fight with a chicken.
Diamonds Are Forever feels like the sort of dying embers of a Bond franchise that has lost its way and is grasping at straws. This feels like something else. This feels whimsically funny. But it doesn't feel beholden to its predecessors in the way that On Her Majesty's Secret Service does. You feel the weight of the other Bond movies pressing down on that movie a little bit. Like it has to acknowledge them, and it does in the bizarre moments in that movie. This feels like a clean break.
So we did the drinking game to this. I won't say the rules will be down below. This was a pretty consistent drinking game. 113 drinks. James Bond is killing less people. The drinks are replaced by quips. And Roger Moore's quips run pretty consistently through the movie. They're every 5 minutes he'll go, "Well, this is something amusing."
What are you doing?
Just being disarming, darling.
We were tempted to add a new rule to the drinking game, just for Roger Moore, where no one else ever said darling. Roger Moore is calling Bond women darling left, right and centre.
I think he calls Felix Leiter darling at one point.
Sheer magnetism, darling. Darling? 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 Darling. Cheer on, darling. Darling. Us, darling. Come on, darling. Say goodbye to Felix, darling. Won't be a moment, darling. Darling.
Darling, 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 darling. Did Sean Connery ever say darling?
I don't remember, no. I don't even think George Lazenby said it to his wife. Roger Moore's Bond he has the nous to know that he can't just do the Connery Bond. If he tries to do the same act, it will just fail. So he does his own Bond, which is very Simon Templar.
It's not just Roger Moore who's deciding to do his own Bond. The producers, he's never in a tuxedo. He never orders a martini. He's constantly asking for bourbon with no ice. He smokes incredibly long cigars.
Yes, they've tried to set this Bond so far apart, clearly, yeah.
Here's another weird thing, though, with this, is that they've cast Roger Moore. He's 3 years older than Sean Connery.
He looks 15 years younger than I can't believe it.
Which is a very strange thing to do when you're going to, rejuvenate your franchise. You're hiring a guy from TV who's older than your star. He does look younger. To me, I think it worked out because I really like Roger Moore as James Bond for this period. It was a different tone. and I think he does the tone perfectly, but it was, I think, always a very cheap decision by the producers to pick a guy who had done a spy show that was popular and didn't cost that much to cast him. They cast a guy from commercials in the last one and that didn't work, and now they've cast a guy from television. I think it's still a budgetary choice.
What's on for today?
Let's just wing it, shall we, Mrs. Bell?
Basically, the plot is a lot of spies are being murdered, including one spy who's murdered in this fictional Caribbean country of San Monique. Bond is sent to New York to pick up the trail. When he arrives in New York, he's attacked by the henchman of a gangster in New York known as Mr. Big, who's dealing heroin in the USA. And when Bond looks into it, he finds he's linked to the Prime Minister of San Monique, a guy called Kananga. And then basically he follows the trail back to San Monique and finds that Kananga and Mr. Big are the same person, Yaphet Kotto. And basically Yaphet Kotto is the Prime Minister of San Monique, and he's growing lots of heroin on the island that he's the Prime Minister of, and his plan is to flood the USA with heroin, completely flood it to get shitloads of people addicted to drugs and put all the other mob bosses kind of out of business. And then he will become the sole supplier of heroin to the USA.
And I think that's a really great plot. I think this is a really nice change from the last 4 movies. We've got nuclear bombs, we've got really, since Goldfinger, you got nuclear bomb, World War III, disease to make the whole world infertile, and space laser, and now we've got a guy just going, I'm going to give a lot of heroin out for free, and then I think this is a great plot for a Bond film. It's nice that the first Roger Moore Bond plot isn't the world is in jeopardy. I think this is a good start for a James Bond because you can build from there.
I have read the book, and cards on the table, I can barely remember what the hell happens in the book. What I do remember from the book is there is a big section in which Bond is in a diner and he orders scrambled eggs, and he complains about how he can't get good scrambled eggs in the USA.
Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, an egg will not let you down. The water is going to help to make the eggs nice and light and fluffy. Look at that. Gorgeous. When you're good, you're good. When you're good, you're good. My eggs are good. My eggs are good. Your eggs are gonna be good too. Woo!
Permanent brain damage.
Woo!
Theme tune is Wings Paul McCartney, and it's the iconic Paul McCartney song Temporary Secretary. It's obviously, it's Live and Let Die. I mean, a huge Bond theme. This is, bringing in somebody from a background in rock and pop, a Beatle, somebody from the biggest band of all time, and musically, it feels so different. This, more than any other Bond theme to me, feels like it has a life beyond the movie. It feels like it just exists on its own and works as this great, iconic pop song. Absolutely. It's a clever theme as well because
there's a kazoo in it.
There's a kazoo in it.
You got to give me.
With the Paul McCartney deal, where they've got, a Beatle, 10 years after Sean Connery is saying,
that's as bad as listening to the Beatles without earmuffs.
George Martin is doing the score for the movie. The score for the movie I really like.
A score that I notice when it sounds silly.
And it's a non-stop, hey, don't stop having a good time, don't stop having a good time. And that's what George Martin's doing. And I think it works for this, but it's not one of the great scores.
My only regret is I won't be there to see it.
I think Yaphet Kotto as Kananga and Mr. Big is really good casting. He had been wonderful in Across 110th Street. He grounds it. Yaphet Kotto's determination, slight madness, and his obsession with solitaire, I think he plays it perfectly. And I think it makes him one of the great Bond villains. Not because of the writing, just because Yaphet Kotto is such a good actor.
He's great. He plays it completely with a straight bat in a movie that plays nothing with a straight bat. So Roger Moore is sort of winking all the way through the movie, and the film itself is encouraging you to sort of giggle along. And Yaphet Kotto never does that. He plays it completely straight, and it stands out so well.
The death of his villain doesn't suit his performance. They do this weird...
The stupidest moment in the movie happens to the least stupid character in it.
And I do feel that Yaphet Kotto did all he could with the material. I think he...
And more.
And more, yeah, and more. What do you mean, and more? Or...
A genuine Felix Leiter. Illuminating.
Jane Seymour plays Solitaire, a tarot card reader who can see the future. I think the choice to make her white and a teenage girl is a little bit awkward, I think. Because throughout the film it's James Bond, basically, you know, they've said James Bond versus black people. It seems to be what the film is.
Yeah, and they've thrown Quarrel Jr. in there as a little bit of a...
they've thrown Quarrel...
Sop to make it not wholly racist.
Yes, and there's Felix Leiter, but then there's also the CIA black guy as well. So they've thrown that in. So we're not alone, but they kill him off. And it doesn't help that Rosie Carter is also someone who's working for Kananga. So you have this thing for a very long period of the movie where every black person, mostly, even the taxi drivers, are evil parts of a conspiracy. It's a difficult one that I think the filmmakers are trying to deal with, because they say, well, look, here's a couple of black characters who are good guys. It really doesn't help that the two main characters are white. And I think it would have been better to reverse the Rosie Carver and the Solitaire roles round. So the white woman was the CIA agent, and maybe the black character was... Because it's this weird thing where you got all these black guys going, the virginal white woman is the most important thing in the world, which I think hasn't aged well.
Your power exists to serve me, and it is mine to control. If and when the time comes, I decide you are to lose it, I myself will take it away.
So yeah, Tom Mankiewicz wrote the screenplay for this. He said that he specifically wanted to adapt this book because there was so much of it involved black characters. And he said he was very, very inspired by the black political movements, of civil rights movements. He said he was inspired by the Black Panthers, and he wanted to put some element of that into the script. I don't know if any of this comes across positively in the screenplay.
One interesting thing, apartheid was going on in South Africa when this film came out. And all the scenes with James Bond and Rosie were cut from the South African release.
Really?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I do think that Rosie Carter as well, they make the black woman who snitches on him also a useless agent?
I could have shot you.
You might have even killed me if you'd taken off the safety catch.
She screams at anything.
Oh, a snake. I forgot. I should have told you. You should never go in there without a mongoose. It used to be a convincing act, Rosie.
And then there's also the very strange moment where Roger Moore knows she's lying to him. Is one of those lines which has not aged well in Bond.
You wouldn't. Not after what we just done.
I certainly wouldn't have killed you before.
And then we have the other awkward scene where he has sex with the virginal solitaire, and then it's revealed that he has bought 52 decks of cards.
He's just lied to her to get her into bed.
It's kind of horrible.
And it's
Not
sort of
kind
played
of.
out as a joke. Yeah, it just is horrible.
It's horrible. The fact that he's 43 and she's 19 doesn't make it any better.
There's no sense in going off half-cocked.
This is the second film where we see James Bond's home. We have James Bond's flat in Dr. No, and now we have James Bond's home again, both of which look like 80-year-old women live in his house. There's something about the decoration in both of those.
Yeah, they make a real show of him having the latest coffee machine.
Yes.
Which just spills coffee all over the place, and Bernard Lee looks livid.
The Americans in New Orleans.
She's got it everywhere.
Such a delicate touch.
Sheer magnetism, darling.
A man comes quickly.
I'm sorry, darling, that doesn't usually happen.
We'll try again in a moment if you like. Come and let me show you this coffee machine I bought. Sorry, darling, that doesn't usually happen.
I think the pre-credit sequence is brilliant. I think this is the way you should start a Bond film. I'm not big on just a silly action set piece to start a Bond film with James Bond kills 3 ninjas or whatever. I don't care about that. I want something that links to the story that will get us invested, and here we go, here's the big Bond credits. And I think Live and Let Die is one of the best. It's assassinations of 3 people. As I said, 2 of them are lame. I mean, the first one is, you know, his headphones are on too loud, like,
To some
The last one where there's a voodoo ritual and a guy just like touches a snake next to a man's neck. The middle section where there's a funeral in New Orleans is so good that I think it makes that opening before the great Paul McCartney theme absolute. I think it makes the whole opening brilliant.
It was so good that when we both individually went to New Orleans, we both went out of our way to go to the spot where they shot it.
Whose funeral is it?
Yours.
Roger Moore is the only James Bond that doesn't get a big introduction.
Because imagine all the hype going into this. again, you know, a brand new actor as Bond. At least with Lazenby, he was introduced with a fight scene on a beach, and that's a great fight scene. And then they brought back Connery, and it looks silly, but they do give him a hero's entrance as he walks in. He looks very old and grey, but they give him the hero's entrance. With this, it's sort of Roger Moore just sort of dozing as he wakes up in bed. I mean, I guess they're sort of trying to play on the idea of Bond as the ultimate international shagger. It doesn't get me excited. I don't go, wow, great, here's a new Bond.
Timothy Dalton, the first time we see him is he dives out of a plane, and it's in this sort of interesting assassination attempt at Gibraltar. Pierce Brosnan's entrance is the great, you know,
bungee jump off the dam.
And then he's upside down, he punches someone when we first see him. Daniel Craig has the astonishing assassination, you know, double assassination to get his 00 thing. And this is this weird thing where they've not even bothered with this.
So you may as well be on the toilet with this one.
Yes.
Maybe having a shit or something.
This is one of the films with the most chases in it. I mean, we get 4 chases.
Car chase in New York at the start. The plane chase where the planes never get off the ground.
The double-decker bus chase, which I think is my favourite because it's got some amazing stunts in it. And the boat chase. It starts after the wonderful crocodile stunt.
Which is a great moment because it's low key and it's weirdly sinister. Teehee, I think, is a really great villain actually, because he's used quite sparingly in the movie, and he's almost like a kind of a forerunner to Jaws. You know, he's this sort of villain with sort of superhuman strength, but with this extra appendage or something that works in a terrifying way.
You will snip the little finger on Mr. Bond's right hand. The second wrong answer. You will proceed to the more vital areas.
And that whole section on that, you know, the crocodile farm, actually is a sort of nicely low-key, sinister, dangerous section. And even though Bond is a fucking idiot and he walks out onto Crocodile Island of his own accord, the fucking moron, it's really nicely done, because also it's great because you've got a stuntman fucking surrounded by crocodiles, which looks great. And then you go from that to this kind of superfluous boat chase sequence. Nothing really works about this, I don't think.
I think it's fun. It's too long.
It goes on and on and on, and the movie has decided that it's absolutely transfixed by this new character that they've brought in just for this sequence. The comedy policeman character, J.W. Pepper, who has just popped up out of nowhere and absolutely basically dominates the film for about 15 minutes or so.
I hereby do commandeer this vehicle and all those persons within.
I don't mind that it goes on that long.
The chase sequence is 20 minutes, and 14 minutes of it is a fat man in the back of a police car.
What are you? Some kind of doomsday machine, boy?
They hint at it in Diamonds Are Forever, but this is the first film where James Bond is a demolition derby, and the movie is about the chaos that he creates. We went to go see Smokey and the Bandit at the cinema, because I think it was the £1 movie for the day or something. And we sat there, and it was just the basically a J.W. Pepper movie elongated to a hot feature-length movie, and then we were totally surprised to see that it came out in 1977. Like, how many years? If you saw Live and Let Die, why would you want to watch that one segment of Live and Let Die, which goes on too long?
Yeah.
Without a doubt, this guy's the Black Tim Curry.
Yes!
Jeffrey Holder plays Baron Samedi. And Baron Samedi doesn't actually do anything in the movie, which is interesting.
He just pops up and laughs.
I find that Baron Samedi is this strange, otherworldly, interesting figure that lingers throughout. I really like him in this.
I think a lot of that is because he is completely front and center of one of the most striking moments of the movie. It's a superb effect. There's no indication of what the fuck it's supposed to be.
Find his end at the end where he's laughing at the end of a train kind of hypnotically strange, and it makes it one of the great ends of a Bond movie. That could have easily been crap, but I think he made it seem like something that's worthy of having a last shot of just some random entertainer on a, you know, on a train. I think his performance makes a kind of nothing character kind of great. I'd love to be hammered at this hotel. It looks great fun every night. Unless you arrive jet lagged, desperate to sleep. God, that show's going on.
It looks great for one night, and then on night 4 or 5, it's a bloody show again. Every night at 6 and 9.
At breakfast.
Thank you, Baron.
I thought that was a great, really fun Bond movie, darling.
Thank you, darling. I really, really like Live and Let Die. It's, yeah. I feel like there's a change, a shift, a momentous change in the direction, the tone, the feeling of everything with these Bond movies now.
Yeah.
We're through the looking glass now. We're into the more era, and this is going to be the era, the catalogue of movies that takes us through 40 years and 25 movies, seemingly. It goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. This man will never... You'll have to wrestle this role out of his cold, dead hand.